Book of Heaven, Volume 13, Part 9. January 25th, 1922. Each truth contains within itself a distinct beatitude, happiness, joy, and beauty. What it means to have known on earth one more truth about the divine will when the soul is in heaven. As I was in my usual state, my always lovable Jesus, on coming, told me, "My daughter, the more truths I manifest to you, the more specialties of beatitudes I give to you as gift." Each truth contains within itself a distinct beatitude, happiness, joy, and beauty. So each additional truth you know brings beatitude, happiness, joy, beauty into yourself, with which you remain enriched. These are divine seeds that the soul receives, and by manifesting them to others, she communicates these seeds and enriches whomever receives them. Now, since the truths that one has known on earth are divine seeds that sprout with beatitudes, joy, and so forth, in heaven, when the soul is in her fatherland, they shall be electric wires of communication through which the divinity shall unleash from its womb so many acts of beatitude for as many truths as she has known. Oh, how she shall remain inundated by them, as though by many different immense seas. She already has the seed, and by having the seed, she has the void in which to be able to receive these immense seas of happiness, of joy, and of beauty. One who does not have the seed, who has not known a truth while on earth, lacks the void in order to be able to receive these beatitudes. It happens as when a little one has not wanted to study all the languages. As he grows up and hears others speak in those languages that he did not want to study, or he was not given the opportunity to study, he shall understand nothing. In fact, by not wanting to study, his intelligence remained closed, and made no effort to prepare a little space in order to comprehend those languages. At the most, he shall remain amazed. He shall enjoy from someone else's happiness, but neither will he possess it, nor shall he be the cause of happiness for others. See, then, what it means to know one truth more, or one truth less. If all knew what great goods they miss, they would compete in order to acquire truths. Now the truths are the secretaries of my beatitudes, and if I do not manifest them to souls, they do not crack the secret that they contain. They swim within my divinity, waiting for their turn to act as divine agents and make me known how many more beatitudes I contain. And the longer they have remained hidden in my womb, the more uproariously and majestically they come out to inundate the creatures and manifest my glory. Do you think that all of heaven is aware of all my goods? No, no. Oh, how much remains for it to enjoy that it does not enjoy today. Each creature who enters into heaven, having known one more truth, unknown to others, shall bring within herself the seed, so as to have new contentments, new joys, and new beauty unleashed from me, of which that soul shall be as though the cause and font, while others shall take part in them. The last day shall not come if I do not find souls who are disposed, in order for me to reveal all my truths, so that the celestial Jerusalem may resound with my complete glory, and all the blessed may take part in all my beatitudes, some as direct cause for having known that truth, and some as indirect cause through the one who has known it. Now, my daughter, in order to console you, and so that you may be attentive and listening to my truths, I want to tell you which ones are the truths that glorify me the most. They are those that regard my will, primary cause with which I created man, that his will be one with his Creator. But man, having withdrawn from my will, rendered himself unworthy to know the values and the effects and all the truths it contains. This is the reason for all my attentions with you, so that between me and you, our wills would run together and be always in highest accord. In fact, so that the soul may open the doors and render herself disposed to knowing the truths that my will contains, the first thing is wanting to live of my will. The second is wanting to know it. The third is to appreciate it. Therefore, with you, I opened the doors of my will, that you might know its secrets that man had buried inside my womb, and the effects and the value it contains. And as many truths as you know about my will, so many seeds you receive, and so many divine secretaries form your cortege. Oh, how they make feast around you, having found the one to whom to confide their secret. But they shall make the most beautiful feast when they take you to heaven, when the divinity, at your very entrance, shall unleash so many different beatitudes, distinct among themselves, of joy, of happiness, and of beauty, that shall not only inundate you, but all the blessed shall take part in them. Oh, how heaven awaits your coming, to enjoy these new contentments. January 28, 1922. How Jesus opened for us many fonts in his will. I was praying, and my sweet Jesus drew me to himself, transforming me completely into himself. And he told me, "My daughter, let us pray together, so as to be able to hold heaven in our power, and prevent the earth from falling more into the current of evil." So we prayed together. And then he added, "My humanity, while on earth, saw itself as very narrow before the divinity, and since it was inseparable from the divinity, I did nothing but enter into the immensity of the eternal will and open many fonts for the good of creatures. In fact, since they were opened by a man-God, I gave the human family the right to draw near these fonts and take whatever they wanted. So I formed the font of love, that of prayer, another of reparation, the font of forgiveness, that of my blood, another of glory. Now, do you want to know who stirs these fonts so as to make them rise and overflow in such a way that all the earth may remain inundated? The soul who enters into my will. As she enters, if she wants to love, she draws near the font of love, and loving, or even by placing the intention to love, she stirs the font. The waters, being stirred, swell, overflow, and flood the whole earth. And sometimes these stirs are so strong that the waves rise so high as to touch heaven and flood the celestial fatherland. If she wants to pray, repair, impetrate forgiveness for sinners, give me glory, she stirs the fonts of prayer, of reparation, of forgiveness, and they rise, overflow, and flood everyone. How many goods did my humanity not impetrate for man? I left the doors open, so that they might enter with all ease. But how few are those who enter. January 30th, 1922. The truths are new creations. The truth is light, and light spreads by itself. But in order for it to spread, it is necessary to make it known. The rest it shall do by itself. As I was in my usual state, my adorable Jesus, on coming, seeing me all reluctant in manifesting and writing what he tells me, with such an imposing appearance as to make me tremble, said to me, "My daughter, my word is creative, and when I speak, making known a truth that belongs to me, it is nothing less than new divine creations that I make in the soul. And just as when I created the heavens, with one single fiat I stretched out the heavens and studded them with billions of stars, so much so that there is not one place of the earth from which this heaven cannot be seen, and if from some points it could not be seen, it would be a dishonor for the creative power, and some might say that the creative force did not have the power to extend everywhere. In the same way, my truths are more than heavens, that I would want to make known to all, from one end of the earth to another, and make them pass from mouth to mouth like many stars, to adorn for me the heaven of the truths I have manifested. If the creature wanted to hide my truths, it would be as if she wanted to prevent me from creating the heavens, and by the secret she would want to keep, she would give me dishonor, as if someone wanted to prevent others from looking at the heavens, the sun, and all the things created by me, so as not to make me known. Ah, my daughter, the truth is light, and light spreads by itself. But in order for it to spread, it is necessary to make it known. The rest it shall do by itself. Otherwise, it shall remain compressed, without the good of being able to illuminate and do the course at once. Therefore be attentive, and do not prevent me from spreading the light of my truths. February 2nd, 1922. In order for Jesus to operate in the soul, it takes highest equality in all her things. The divine will is seed that multiplies the images of God. The acts done in the divine will are wanted and demanded by all. This morning, my always lovable Jesus came, all goodness and sweetness. He was carrying a rope around his neck, and an instrument in his hand, as if he wanted to do something. Then he removed the rope from his neck and put it around mine. Then he fixed the instrument at the center of my person, and with a ruler that he made rotate from a little wheel that was in the center of that instrument, he measured me all over, to see whether in all the parts of my person he would find all parts as equal. He was all attentive to see whether the ruler, in rotating, would find perfect equality. And having found it, he heaved a sigh of great contentment, saying, "Had I not found her equal, I could not have accomplished what I want. At any cost, I am determined to make of her a portent of grace." Now, that little wheel that was in the center seemed to be a little circle of sun, and Jesus gazed at himself within it to see whether his adorable person would appear as whole within that little circle of sun. And since it did appear, all content, he seemed to pray. In the meantime, another little wheel of light descended from heaven, similar to the one that I had in the center of my person, but without detaching its rays from within heaven. And they identified with each other, and Jesus impressed them in me with his most holy hands, and added, "For now I have made the incision, I have placed the seal. Then I shall take care of developing what I have done." And he disappeared. I remained amazed, but I don't know what that is. I only understood that in order for Jesus to operate in us, it takes highest equality in all things. Otherwise, he operates at one point of our soul, and we destroy at some other point. Unequal things are always bothersome, defective, and if one wants to place something on them, there is the danger that the unequal part may let it fall to the ground. A soul who is not always the same, one day wants to do good, she wants to bear everything. Another day she can no longer be recognized, indolent, impatient. So one can place no reliance on her. After this my Jesus came back, and having drawn me into his will, he said to me, "My daughter, as the seed is cast into the earth germinates and multiplies the seed that was sown. My will extends more than earth, and it casts the seed of my volition into souls, and it makes many other images, similar to me, germinate and multiply. My volition germinates my children and multiplies them. Know, however, that the acts done in my will are like the sun. Everyone demands the light, the heat, and the good that the sun contains, nor can anyone prevent someone else from enjoying its goods. Without anyone defrauding anyone else, all enjoy it. All are owners of the sun. Each one can say, 'The sun is mine.' In the same way, the acts done in my will, more than sun, are wanted and demanded by all. The past generations await them, to receive the dazzling light of my will over everything they have done. The present ones await them, to feel fecundated and invested by this light. The future ones await them, as the fulfillment of the good that they shall do. In sum, my will is I, and the acts done in my volition shall always make their round within the endless wheel of eternity, to constitute themselves life, light, and heat of all. February 4th, 1922. The souls who live in the divine will take part in the eternal activity of the divine will, like little wheels, making their round within the great wheel of eternity. Continuing in my usual state, my sweet Jesus, on coming, told me, "My daughter, the souls who live in my will are the tiny little wheels that rotate within the great wheel of eternity. My will is the motion and the life of the wheel of endless eternity. As they enter into my will to pray, to love, to operate, and so forth, The wheel of eternity makes them make their round within its interminable circumference. And since in that wheel they find everything that has been done and must be done, and everything that should be done but is not done, as they rotate, they cast light and divine waves into what has been done and must be done, giving divine honor to their Creator in the name of all. And they redo what has not been done by creatures. Oh, how beautiful it is to see a soul enter into my will. As she enters, the great wheel of eternity winds her up to make her round within its great expanse, and the tiny little wheel makes its eternal rounds. The winding by the great wheel puts her in communication with all the divine windings, and while she makes her round, she does what her very Creator does. Therefore, they are as though the first to be created by me, and as though the last, because in making their round, they find themselves at the beginning, in the middle, and at the end. So they shall be the crown of the whole human family, the glory, the honor, and the substitution of everything, and the return to God of the whole order of things created by Him. Therefore let your rounds be continuous in my will. I shall give you the winding, and you shall offer yourself to receive it, won't you? Afterwards he added, You have not told of all the rounds that the little wheel of your will does within the great wheel of eternity. And I, how could I tell them if I don't know? And he, as the soul enters into my will, even a simple adhesion, an abandonment, I wind her so as to make her round. And do you know how many times she makes her round? She makes her round for as many thinking intelligences, for as many gazes as creatures give, for as many words as they speak, for as many works as are done, and as many steps as are taken. They make their round at each divine act, at each motion, at each grace that descends from heaven. In sum, they form their round in whatever is done in heaven and on earth. The rounds of these little wheels are fast, rapid, so they themselves cannot calculate them. But I count them all, first to take for myself the glory and the eternal love that they give me, and then to fuse all the eternal good, to give them the capacity to surpass everything, to be able to embrace everyone and make themselves crown of everything. Deo gratias. You have reached the end of Volume 13. Fiat.